Hey, this is Victor with VentoBot, and today on this episode of Don't Kill the Messenger, we're going to be talking about copy and messaging and how to really get clear and break that all down for you. So just stay tuned. Now, before we begin, going over to ventobot.com/book to get your copy of the complete automation strategy, 4 phases to generate never-ending leads, the same process we take all our private clients through so that you can start doing it on your own. And when you're ready, reach out to us to take care of the rest for you. Now, today I have Jon Cook, he runs an agency, a copywriting and messaging agency, specifically for speakers, authors, and consultants. So I would love to welcome today onto the episode, Jon Cook.
Doing
hey,
great,
Jon,
Victor.
How you doing?
Thank you so much for inviting me on to the Don't Kill the Messenger conversation, and I'm excited to jump in with you.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited. I know we've been chatting. We met like a few, I want to say like a year ago now, almost, or a little bit after that. I don't know. It's been a while. I've known you for a while. So, and everything that you do is fantastic. You're a great craftsman of just copy and messaging. I know, like, I've learned a lot from you. We were at a conference and I actually picked your brain a little bit. You helped me out a little bit here. I helped you out a little bit on a couple other things, and then it just led to a few other things. So what would you say is the most important thing about messaging?
When I think about messaging, what I'm looking for is how do we actually want to transfer the empathetic care or that empathic persona, saying, well, do I actually care about the people who are reading this, who are watching this, who are connecting with me on this? And how do I convey that I want what's best for them? And that I understand what they're going through, I understand the challenges, the struggles, the emotions, the thoughts that they're struggling with, and how I can help take that to the next level with this message, whether it's a book, whether it's a podcast, it's a course, it's some type of digital product, some done-for-you service. If I can take that transfer of care and communicate it better than anybody else, that's what allows me to have that conversation, to have that trust factor, to have that buying decision with my audience.
I love it. So what I'm hearing is it's like it allows you to really have people resonate with what you're saying. Once you really identify it and get that clarity around your messaging. I know for me, that was I kind of did it by just doing it, right? Kind of learned by trial of error.
Yep.
I wish I knew someone like you back then so that I could have reached out and be like, hey man, I need help with this, because I know that's very important. A lot of people have trouble. A lot of people that I meet in person generally have trouble really explaining the impact that they can make with people.
Absolutely.
So that I'm sure you run into that a lot too, especially for like speakers and authors. It's very important, right? Because if you can't portray it in one-on-one person, like how can you portray something like that on stage or in general online or wherever it is that you're looking to help people? So let's dive right in. What are some things that people can do to kind of get started, at least as far as crafting their message and really getting clear on what it is how they can put their services out there and really get people resonating with what they say?
Yeah. And when I think about the way people want to improve their messaging, want to improve that connection, it's not going to be a profound statement, but it's so overlooked. It's going, actually talk to your audience, ask them better questions, not just ask them questions. People go, I've talked to my audience, I've sent out a survey. Okay, how many questions was a survey? It was like 3 or 4. So if I was to ask somebody, like, when I was dating my wife, I was to ask her 3 or 4 questions. Oh, she's the one. I wouldn't know that after 3 or 4 questions. In fact, I would be an absolute fool, because I would say, I probably know some things about her, but to really take the time and intentionality to say, what makes her tick? What are the things that she really likes? What are the things she doesn't like? For people who might have been like me, that have wanted her attention in the past, how do I make sure that I'm different, that I give that attention that she deserves, and being able to find out what matters to her, what is she most excited about, what are the things that she's looking forward to the most, and then intentionally giving that focus to something that's important to her. Because if it doesn't matter to them, then how do I prove that I can actually find out what actually matters to them?
I love that, because that's definitely a question. And I love how you brought it back to like your relationship with your wife, because everyone can relate to that, right? I feel like everyone understands that dating concept, really like in 3 to 4 questions, you're not going to get the answers that you really need to understand somebody. And that's definitely a great way to start thinking about it as far as from a business perspective for your target audience, right? You want to go a little bit more in depth with them, interview them a little bit more, and really go through the necessary steps to actually get that. So what would you say is next? Like once you start to kind of get a better idea, because for example, I know for us, we've heard a lot of like, I've personally heard a lot of like, I feel like the best kept secret. And that phrase right there, like resonates really well with a lot of people that are in the place that I need them to be.
Yep.
Right. So once they kind of start finding the words that they're themselves, their audience is saying, like, what could they do next? Like what comes next as far as the next step for that?
Yeah. And again, it's not necessarily this big, profound secret, but it's the actually getting your content out there, actually posting something on a regular basis, actually being able to create content that is intended to draw your audience in to a deeper conversation. And it's one where it's another aspect of that. It's not just putting out content or putting out a Facebook ad or putting out a messenger bot or whatever it might be.
Right.
It's going actually giving intentional iterations to your first draft or your first published piece of content. Because it goes, unless I'm split testing, I'm leaving a ton of impact on the table, and in many cases, a ton of money. And when I think about your messaging, is going, this ad, and this ad, 3 ads side by side is very different from an engagement standpoint than saying, hey, here's our ad, or here's our content, or here's our newsletter, and I hope you like it. And then it's almost, you start to get into the very dangerous area of almost like a tone deaf, where it's like, I put this out there, nobody's responding. Well, maybe people are responding to commenting. They're like, okay, it's okay. But the silence tells us more about our impact than any type of engagement can.
I absolutely love that. It's the feedback that people don't really like paying attention to, right? I feel like there's this underlying theme that we've moved into this world of what's the new tactic, the new secret, the new strategy, the new this. Like I do a lot with messenger bots and Facebook ads, but that's not always what people come to me. Sometimes they're not even ready for that. Like they haven't gotten that piece down that, like you're mentioning, is important. They haven't done the research. They don't know how to talk to their audience. So like it could help to get exposure, but it's not going to help as far as connecting with the right people. It's not going to hit them the way you want it to, like your message to really hit them, right? It's not going to resonate. So I love being able to go into that a little bit more. What else can you tell me about like what the silence tells you, or other ways to kind of really gather that feedback?
Well, if we were to wind back earlier in our conversation here, talking about, okay, asking and talking with your ideal clients or your prospects, being able to say, I mean, it's something where you say, oh, I don't know if my prospects are super busy, whatnot, saying you've delivered a good or service for them. If you've done a great job, you've gotten great results, they're happy to continue the conversation, even taking it, hey, can I ask you a couple questions, 10, 15-minute call. And worst case scenario, if they're saying, hey, nobody wants to talk with me, find out what your best client's hourly rate is and saying, can I pay you your hourly rate to ask you questions about my business? And that point, it's not you paying out an expense. It's you investing in feedback from somebody that you are the best fit for. So there's an idea there.
I love that. Yeah.
So another one is also saying, okay, from an iteration standpoint, tying in analytics and saying, okay, how are the click-through rates performing on this ad or this, this email or whatever it might be, on putting a heat map on your sales page or your sign up page, saying, hey, where are people clicking? Where are people looking? Where are they scrolling? What's the action that they're taking? Another tactic is being able to say, if I can take and send out messages to different people saying, who are my top 10 clients last year? Being able to say, hey, I'm putting together some information. I'd like to put this together kind of an impromptu 60 minutes, where I'm going to give you, here's this add-on training for 40, 45 minutes. So you develop a training that you've likely already have the content or the idea in, saying, hey, here's a 40, 45 minutes. It's no charge to you. You are my top 10 clients last year. But also I'm going to add on a Q&A afterwards. Your first couple of questions of the Q&A are about the content you just taught. And that also starts to proof test a new product, maybe that 40, 45 minutes training, or at least a new lead magnet or lead gen opportunity. But then you ask 8 to 10 questions beyond that for the remaining 10, 15 minutes, talking about what is it that drew you into working with me? what made me jump out from the rest of the noise or whatnot. And they might say things like, well, it was word of mouth or so-and-so mentioned your name. Okay. Anybody can mention somebody else's name, but what's actually going to bring me into you saying yes? At what point did you say, I want to work with Ventor, with VentorBot? I want to work with this setup or with this company or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So when we think about the way your ideal top 10 clients, these are people who have already worked with you. They already have the trust in place. They have, there's little loss opportunity for them to continue talking with you because you've already gotten good results. And for you to be able to say, I'm gifting you this great value packed training, 45 minutes. And then being able to say your win is being able to get their honest feedback, not just on the training, but also on the big picture.
Okay. Yeah, I like it because that's definitely I do that somewhat currently. So personally, we do that on the onboarding side of things. We ask like, what point of that initial conversations or what brought you to us? Like, what was it that made you choose me over the other possibilities that you had, right? You could do it yourself. You can hire XYZ agency, or you can hire like ABC agency or whatever, but like, why us? What was it? Was it me specifically, or was it something about our philosophy? And like it helps. I love that because it really gives it's an open-ended question that allows them to go a little bit deeper. So then let's say we're past this stage of like starting to research and everything. What have you found to be one of the best ways, I guess, to start really testing? How do I put this? Testing different iterations once you found like, this is kind of the idea that I found works, like they resonate with, but how do I test that now against multiple people?
Yeah. When we, for about the last 3 years, I've been doing a ton of studying inside brain science-based persuasion, neuroscience, neuromarketing, and how our brains are wired. There are 4 main brain chemicals that our bodies can experience, and that can be activated and enhanced through different words, phrases, interactions, pictures, experiences, whatnot. And that's dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And for our audiences are already craving some type of chemical reaction or experiences going through their everyday. Hey, that's why I talked to her at the coffee shop. That's why I went to that sales meeting. That's why I went and talked with him about that business opportunity. That's why I went to that game or whatnot, or why I went to that bar. Is that there are these chemical desires that we have. They're saying, if I think that I want to feel like I'm connected, or what I really want the most out of life, or I want to know that I'm not alone, or I want to think there's something that the stakes are so high, I'm willing to even look a little ridiculous because I believe so much in this opportunity. All 4 of those are different examples of the 4 main chemicals. And when we have our ad copy in place, we say, what is the innate desire that my audience wants to experience, even if they're not able to articulate to me right now what that experience or that desire is? If I can somehow get inside the mind of my ideal prospect and find out what do they really want the most out of life, that I can ethically deliver on that desire for them, I create and I activate that connection through my words, my messaging, my copy, through headlines. But then I connect it with a product or service that I know can get amazing results. And that starts to not just activate that chemical desire, but then fulfills it by saying there's a completion aspect. There's that desire has been met because of this book, because of this product. Because people don't buy products. People don't buy this course. They buy experiences. They buy desires. They buy promises. And saying, my audience wants to know, I never want to have kind of that gut punch feeling of getting that student loan bill or getting that Visa bill in the mail.
Okay.
So I'm not going to buy this, debt-free course to say, hey, I bought a course. I'm going to buy it so I can say I'm debt-free and have that calming, not having that acid rising in my stomach because I'm churning thinking about student loan bills coming due or whatever. I didn't buy a product. I bought a status shift. I bought an experience or a promise, and it happened to be a course.
Yeah, I love it. I feel like I say this all the time. Like, you want to be the voice inside your customer's head, right? Because it sounds like that's kind of where we're meeting there. and you're really getting to the point of like, if you can say it better than they can, that's essentially what we want. And with messaging, I feel like that's the most important. Do you happen to have like any frameworks or anything like that that people can really start to identify? Because I know in the past that has helped me. Like when I used to try to run ads myself, before I found my mentor, I would sit like at a blank screen and just stare at the blinking cursor. I'm like, okay, how do I start this ad?
Yeah.
For myself, for my clients. And then the funny thing is, my mentor, actually, I saw an ad and it said like, are you tired of staring at a blank screen with the blinking cursor? So how to start your ad? I was like, oh my, like I was thinking that, but he said it.
Yep.
So then that allowed me to, like, I resonated with it. I was like, I want this. And it was, it was like the perfect ad template, and it allowed me to kind of go into that.
Yep.
And that started my journey down following him and working with him.
Yeah.
So
Nicholas is brilliant.
Yeah. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
So
Nicholas Kuzmich, in case anybody else is wondering, it's Nicholas Kuzmich.
Right. Yeah. Nicholas Kuzmich is like my mentor. I've learned quite a bit from myself, but I think that's the goal, right? We
Absolutely.
want to have that reaction that I had, and we want to have that with our audience. So what have you found to be useful in terms of starting to create something like that?
Yeah. When we're creating copy, when we're looking at, let's say it's ad copy, or for Facebook ad copy, I have most often found that ad copy is underwritten and underdeveloped on an effort standpoint. People say, cool, I wrote something cool, I like it. It doesn't matter whether I like it.
Right.
Frankly, who cares if I like it? It's all about my audience. What's going to stop their scroll going through Facebook between cat videos, baby announcements, and God knows what else is filling the feed right now? What's going to actually stop their scroll? And so I like to ask just a straight up yes or no question right off the top. Are you tired? And it's usually questions along the lines, let's say it's, biting, hey, are you tired of biting your nails? Or have you stopped biting your nails because it's a disgusting habit? Okay, wow, that's going to catch my attention. But then I jump right into, I try to have it so that every sentence, every word in ad copy is more valuable than like any type of website copy or any type of different copy that's going to be coming through. You're like, oh, it's on my website, it's on my about page. Who cares about that? If they can't read your ad copy, they're not ever going to go to your sales page. If they don't read your ad copy, they're never going to go to the sign up page or to the product or the event or whatever it might be. So when I think about what is the absolute word, every word has to count. Absolutely every word has to count. So I ask the yes, no question right up top. But then I also say, for any sentence, any word I put in, I say, what is taking this to, like, turning it to 11? If we're going to take the intensity level, turn it to 11, not like a over the top hysterical or like a sensationalist, but saying like, I want it to truly amplify, because I'm going to introduce the problem that they're already aware of. And by introducing, it's not telling them the problem that they're unaware of. They're aware of the problem, but just reminding them that they're aware of the problem. And then I amplify that awareness with saying, if nothing changes, what's going to happen? You can keep listening to your cardiologist and die of a heart attack, or you can listen to me and I can save your life.
Right.
So
that's super powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's because I've actually personally run into that where like, I like it, but I'm like, I thought the same thing you have. Like, it's not about me. And it's not about like whether I like it or not. It has to resonate with the audience, right? It has to make sense for them. They have to find some kind of, and I keep using the word resonance, but like resonance within what you're saying, whether it's a story or not. Like, we're both in Colorado, you're up north in Denver. I'm not sure if you've ever been down here and hiked a little bit of the places down here, but there's this place called the Seven Bridges Trail. Yep. And I associate that a lot of times with content creation, because there's a specific path to follow, and I feel like content should lead that way, and it's very relatable, and people can resonate with that.
Yep.
And that's fantastic. I love it, because that's definitely for me. And I know, just taking what you said, making sure that it's not about just us.
Yeah.
So
we think about the noise that's going through all of social media right now. Think of all of the different things that are vying for our attention. If we can't catch and keep their attention in the first 2 seconds, we're screwed.
Right.
Yeah.
Like for example, like right now, the most relevant thing is, everyone's talking about the coronavirus. And personally, I don't like to talk about it, but I mean, like, why not? It makes sense. And if you can relate to the virality of how this spread and how people all of a sudden no longer are selling out of toilet paper, you can relate that either back to marketing of like how to go viral or something like that. Like there's definitely a ton of ways to do that. But you like, it sounds like you really, one, have to make it relevant, and second, to make it sure it's about the audience and not about you.
Correct. Well, and it's one where I believe tragedy or pandemic or something truly world-changing, world-shifting, whether it's local, regional, national, global, whatever it might be, any of those types of situations, the situation we might be in right now, is merely an accentuator and a reshuffling of our priorities. It's the asking the question of, does this really matter? Will this really matter 2 weeks from now, 6 months from now, whatever it might be? On a messaging side of things, the reality is there are many digital marketing companies that will not thrive at all in the next 2 to 3 months, because the emphasis has not been on, do you get me? Do you understand what I'm going through? Does this resonate with me? And those are companies that rightfully need to be in danger, because they actually haven't taken the time to get the results that people need, because they haven't actually taken the time to understand their craft in conjunction with their audience's needs. They're saying, hey, we're amazing at our craft. We do amazing copy, whatnot. We do killer click-through rates. Yeah, click-through rates. I can send click-through rates to a free beer campaign, but it's not actually going to matter too much, if somebody's in the hospital. Again, there's a little bit of the extremes there, but when we think about the your audience right now, like for digital marketing agencies or specialists, or whether it's copy, whether it's messaging, whether it's marketing, whether it's Facebook ads, whatever, funnels, sales, it's going, can you get the results people are looking for? And can you get them even to the page first with an ad that they say, you took the time to understand me?
Yep. I love it. I know that's, and so I feel like a lot of people have, like I mentioned earlier, we've moved into this world of like, what's the new thing? What's the new secret, the new tactic, the new strategy, whatever it is. But what you're saying is very important, right? It's important to do the work that doesn't seem like sexy. It's not, it's not sexy. It's hard. A lot of people don't do it. And so they end up kind of blowing past. They might get initial results, but then it kind of dies down. And then what? Right? They haven't learned, like you said, they're not just their craft, but how it relates to their audience's problems. And that, I can see how that can hurt a lot of people. So
well, for research, you mentioned research. I like to think of research like leg day at the gym, like chest and back day, or biceps day, or whatever it might be, arms day, whatnot. You can't find an open seat anywhere, open bench, nowhere. Leg day, it's a ghost town in the gym. But leg day is so foundational to our entire fitness. It's the movement, mobility. It's the true foundation for so much of what we do and function as humans. And let's take that concept and saying research is so foundational in your marketing, messaging, connection with your audience. If you don't have that foundation in place, anything you put on top of it is going to crumble.
I love it. So I know we're kind of running out of time here, but there's definitely a place, I know, to get really clear on messaging, and then you have access to that. So where can we go to find out more, to really start getting clearer on our message so it resonates with our audience?
Yep. So I have a message clarity assessment. It's at m3clarity.com/message. And we'll have the link in with the show notes. You don't have to worry about that, but it's a message clarity assessment. You'll take a variety of questions. It's online. It's going to take less than 5 minutes for you to do. A little bit of, hey, 1 to 10, choose this, 1 to 10, choose that. But at the end, you'll have your message clarity score, and then you'll be able to say, here are some good suggestions on how you're able to improve the clarity of your overall message as you continue moving through the next few weeks and months to come. And there are some simple implementable steps that I have put together, that I have personally beta tested, that I use with clients as well on a full test, and now to be able to implement for your business, and saying this will actually elevate the amount of clarity for your message so that you'll pop out of all the noise online and actually be able to connect with people that you want to serve with the right product at the right time.
I love it. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jon, for coming on the show.
Absolutely, Victor.
Yep. Awesome. So I guess to wrap things up, if you're serious about generating never-ending leads so that you can go from best kept secret to the go-to icon, then go on over to ventobot.com/book to get your free copy of the Complete Automation Strategy book, 4 Phases to Generate Never-Ending Leads. And until next time, I'm Victor with Ventobot. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Victor.